Welcome to episode 24 of the Automation Podcast, brought to you by insightsinautomation.com. I'm Shawn, your host, and on today's show we're going to talk about Rockwell Software support for Windows 7, and we'll also talk about Windows 8 and Windows XP. So I get asked this all the time. People come up to me and say, hey, does Rockwell Software support Windows 7? What versions does it support? Is it 32-bit support or 64-bit support? Or even, does it support Windows 8 or 8.1? Or does it still support Windows XP? These questions come in all the time. So let's back up and first talk about operating systems. From day one, when Microsoft came out with the professional operating system and the home operating system, they stated that professional was for business use. You could use it at home if you want. But the home operating system was not to be used in business, period, end of story. Straight out, never expect business software to be supported on a home operating system. Now you may think, well, there's really no difference. There is. There's a lot of services that are not supported on a home operating system that are supported on a professional operating system. So there is a difference between the two operating systems. If somebody's purchased you XP Home or Windows 7 Home and you're using it for business, spend $100 and get the professional upgrade. Now, the second piece of operating system support I want to talk to you about is this the desire to have the latest and greatest. I'm like one of those people. I like to have the latest and greatest. However, unlike Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel, which sell billions of copies and don't control bridges, cranes, amusement park rides, they can live on the bleeding edge. Matter of fact, they're made by the same people who make the operating system, so it's easy for them to get the latest and greatest support. As a matter of fact, I don't know that Microsoft would ever release an operating system that didn't support their flagship products. On the other hand, Rockwell has to be a little bit more careful. Their automation products actually do control stuff that, in many cases, could hurt people if it went awry. So that, coupled with the fact that they're not selling billions of copies every year, I don't see that when Windows 9 comes out, Rockwell's products all will be supported, or they'll have a bunch of new releases in the wings. I mean, I wouldn't complain if they did, but I just don't see that as being part of reality. This stuff needs to be baked a little bit more than a spreadsheet or a Word document. So that's my 2 cents on that. Now I want to switch gears and talk to you about how you, in just a couple of minutes, can find out if your Rockwell Software products are supported on your selected operating system. This is super easy and it'll only take a minute or two to explain. First, you're going to start at ab.com. That'll redirect you to, I think it's ab.rockwellautomation.com. But it's just easier to type in ab.com. So go to ab.com. When the page loads, on the left-hand side, you're going to see something called Quick Links. And in the middle of that Quick Link list, you're going to see something called Product Compatibility and Download Center. That's what I want you to click on. Once you click on that, it's going to open up the Product Compatibility and Download Center. And there's going to be 3 tabs in the middle of the screen. The default tab, Compatibility Scenarios, will be up, and the first item in that tab, Multi-Product Compare, is what you're going to want to choose. From there, you're going to be taken to a Multi-Product Compare search window. And what I do is I type in RS Logix. That'll filter the search window and show me RS Logix 5, 500, and 5000. So what I'm going to do is choose the newest version for RS Logix 5, that's version 8. I'm going to choose the newest version for RS Logix 500, that's version 9. And then I'm going to choose my favorite version of RS Logix 5000, 20.01. If you're using anything else, have fun. That's my version. So that's what I'm going to choose. I'm also going to go back and filter for Factory Talk View. And I'm going to choose View ME version 7 and View SE version 7. And you know what? I'm actually going to pick RS Links Classic just to see if I wanted to run that standalone. What does it support? Okay, so once you do that, you'll get a list on the right-hand side, and you want to scroll to the bottom and press Compare. And that'll take you to a new page with a bunch of information. You'll see your different packages along the top. If you want to change some of the versions to older or newer versions, you can do that here. You'll also see that the System Features selection is expanded. I always close that. That's not the most important thing right now. We want to look at operating systems. So on the left-hand side, you'll scroll down a little bit. You'll hit the plus sign on the side of operating systems. And what I did is I hit the plus sign next to Windows 7, next to Windows 8, and next to Windows XP. Now, one thing to note, as I look at Windows 7, I see Home Edition, I see Professional Edition, I see 32, I see 64. Same thing with Windows 8. I see all those different choices. But when I'm looking at Windows XP, the only thing I see is Windows XP Professional 32-bit. So keep that in mind. Rockwell's ruling out every other version of Windows XP. Windows XP Enterprise, Windows XP Home, Windows XP 64. None of those are even considered. Okay, so what are my results? I see green checkboxes for all the RS Logics with Windows 7 Professional 32 and 64, Windows 7 Professional SP1 32 and 64, Windows 7 Enterprise SP1 32 and 64. I also see green checkboxes for Windows XP Pro SP1, SP2, and SP3, and those are all 32-bit. As a matter of fact, I even see it for Windows XP Pro with no service pack. So that's some great support. Basically, if you're on Windows 7 or Windows XP, those three versions of RS Logics are awesome. Now, I also see under Windows 8, zero support. You may be able to get it to work, but if you can't, it's because it's not supported. Now let's move on to Factory Talk View. Here we're talking about ME and SE, both version 7. What I see for Windows 7 here is I see Windows 7 Pro, 32 and 64, as well as Windows 7 Pro SP1, 32 and 64, totally supported. What I also see is Windows XP Pro support, but this time it's only with SP3. Okay, so with View Studio 7, you're going to be running XP Pro SP3 if you want it to work, according to this website. Finally, we'll look at RSLinks Classic 3.6. I can see Windows 7 Pro 32 and 64, Windows 7 Pro SP1 32 and 64, and Windows 7 Enterprise 32 and 64 support, no problem. I also see Windows XP Pro SP3 32-bit support, so only SP3 on Windows XP, but hey, it's great that it still supports it. And again, absolutely no support on Windows 8 or 8.1. It's all dashes, which I would interpret as untested. So don't jump to Windows 8 yet, because none of these mainline products are actually supported in that operating system. Okay, so the final thing we'll talk about is, well, what if you're forced to move to Windows 8? This is where I say look at virtualization. I'm a personal owner and user of VMware, but there are things like XP mode and other virtualization technologies. Some are free, some cost money. So you have the option of running a virtual computer on top of your real computer in order to get that support. Matter of fact, I know people who have been running RS Logics on the Apple OS X for a long time because they were using virtualization. They weren't actually installing RS Logics on OS X. They were installing RS Logics on a Windows operating system that was running in a virtual machine on Apple. So I'm sure you could do the same on other operating systems. Now, I like VMware because Rockwell officially supports it. They use it at all their training sessions like Automation Fair, RS TechEd, RAOTM, and I know it works. I know Rockwell does have some support for the XP mode, which is a free download for Windows 7. And I have some friends and clients who are using third-party virtualization options, and they say they run great too. But again, it all depends on you and where you want to get your support. Well, I think that's it for operating system and operating system support for Rockwell Software and for this episode of the Automation Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or corrections, please don't hesitate to share them with me by replying to this episode's blog post at theautomationpodcast.com. And you can always stay up to date with all the Insights websites at insightsandautomation.com. I'm your host, Shawn Tierney, and until next time, peace.